Okay, so first, let's go over two scenarios when I really like to attack the arm bar, okay? The first one is kind of going to be when, remember we were making the bread cutter grip? I call it the bread cutter when I have a hand trapped and I'm trying to get my thumb in. I call that the bread cutter. The paper cutter is a little different. The paper cutter is when my hand's under the armpit. And we'll kind of go over that today as well. Scoot down a little bit, Cody. But let's go over the first kind of scenario that we were talking about, okay? So whenever I get here, look, Cody doesn't want to let me get this arm out. He doesn't want to give me that. So I'm going to have to fight for that. And I get my hand inside. And so some of the reason I use this arm trap grip has a lot to do with the fact that if I could just keep this arm trapped all the time, I wouldn't need to trap that arm. But when he gets his elbow inside, yeah. Now, it's harder for me to expose this arm and expose his neck with two hands on this side, right? Because since he has that forearm in my hip, he can start to use a really effective hip escape. Go ahead, Cody. And I lose it. And he can get his knee inside, and I lose everything. Does everybody understand that? So since that arm is tough to control, I prefer to keep this hand here if he's the kind of guy trying to replace that guard. But when I put my hand here, this hand's almost worthless because now I have like this forklift grip that doesn't necessarily do me a ton of good. I can't attack much from here. I can just kind of control. So once I have to make this grip back here, my other hand comes over the top. All right? Everybody understand? And this hand, when it comes over the top, what I'm doing is I'm finding my collar. Right? I'm just finding that collar. And we talked about a couple things from here. First, we talked about the arm bar, but what we really talked about was transitioning our weight, okay? So as I switch my hips, I step past his arm, and then I make a big step over. Now, Cody's arm's exposed to a ton of things. We covered the arm bar. I'm gonna start to step over the head. Right now, let's turn Cody. Right now, you can see Cody's behavior. Right? He's starting to bring his hand in front to defend that arm bar. And we covered when this happens and he locks his hands together. Yep. He's defending. My knee comes through and I start to work to make that Kimura grip. My knee comes through to break this grip. Okay? And we kind of discussed this in detail. The next submission we had from here after the Kimura was he grabs something, his lapel, his grip, his whatever, and for whatever reason, I cannot break the grip. We talked about the structure of the grip. The grip, the hole in the grip is on the back side of his hand. So trying to bring his hand this way is gonna be really tough and it's never really gonna work. But if I bring Cody's hand the other way, it's much easier. But to think you're always going to be able to do it is kind of a faulty premise. You're not always going to be able to do it. Things are going to be in the way. They're going to be really strong. You're not going to be able to break the grip, whatever the case may be. Everybody understand that? So when that's the case and I cannot break the grip, I put my hand over his wrist and I bring his lapel over his hand. Now, lots of people trap this way. I don't like this way. It hurts my wrist. So I bring their hand over the wrist and I trap palm down. Okay, everybody remember this. We covered this part. And then I bring my thumb in and I make that collar grip. And then we can start to come off. And the bread cutter choke was here. Everybody understand? Well, we also talked about sometimes if I struggle with this grip, I'm trying to get it. Cody's chin's down. I'm struggling to make the grip and get it effective. So I step off and I keep fighting. Now I'm in a mount position. And I took his attention away by faking this grip. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Now here, Cody is gonna still be defending. But when I step over the head, sometimes I lose everything. So instead of stepping over the head, we're using the same type of theory. I'm gonna grab the wrist, and all I'm gonna do is put my hamstring right here. The difference between putting my hamstring and doing this is pretty big. Because you only have a quarter of a second, depending on how good your opponent is. So as he starts to grip and grab, I just, look, hamstring over the face. Now, look, and we finish. Does everybody understand? Now, that's one scenario where we use the hamstring over the face. That scenario is when I have a foot in the mount from that grip. Everybody got that? There's gonna be a lot of times when I have this Kimura grip. I'm trying to finish the Kimura. They pop their arm out. Wrong arm. He got his arm out. Everybody understand? I can't get it back. I come to the side. And this seems like a really good grip. And it seems like I can control him wonderfully from here. The problem is if Cody gets his back to the mat, the arm bar is gone. So is the Kimura, everything's gone. Right? All Cody has to do is get his back to the mat. If I loosen my chest back to, it's all gone now. So I have to stay heavy with my chest back to the mat. Back to the mat. No way. No way, right? And as long as I stay heavy with my chest. But when I step, get your back to the mat when you feel like you can. It's gone. But what if I do the other leg? Everybody understand? So instead of stepping, get your back to the mat when you feel like you can. Why couldn't you get your back to the mat? Because your eyes were which way? That way. Does everybody understand? I throw my hamstring. I'm trying to do it a little bit lighter, but really, when I did it with AJ, I laid on his face. He's not going nowhere. His face is stuck here, which limits his hips from being able to turn. So when I'm in this position, holding the arm, all I do is pivot my right knee a little, throw my leg over. And all my weight's on his head. Then I sit and I finish it. Both of these armbar finishing scenarios are using the exact same concept of relinquishing the placement of the bottom of the foot on the mat and focusing on the back of the hamstring on the face. Everybody understand? All right, on three. 1, 2, 3.